Good morning, readers. It's so nice to see you today. I have a book that I'm so excited to share with you. Remind ourselves what we do when we agree with something that someone in this class says. Can you show me how you agree? Great. When you show someone that you agree with what they say and you do it in a way that's respectful, not interrupting, you're really taking care of your friends, right? By showing that you're listening and that we care what other people say and think. We've been thinking hard about the characters in our books. We've been trying to really get to know them by thinking about what they do and how they feel. Today, we're going to meet a new character in a book. You ready to meet our new character?
Yes.
So the book is called Bernice Gets Carried Away. And I chose this book because I thought you would really like it. The illustrations are really beautiful. And it has a really good character in here, so we're going to have a lot to talk about. The book is called Bernice Gets Carried Away, and it's written by Hannah E. Harrison. And it's about this cat, and her name is Bernice. And you can see that she's really what? Oh yeah, she's grumpy. I can tell because her hands are like this and her face is all scrunched up. She's in a bad mood. Can you show me what you look like when you're in a bad mood? Oh, yeah. Oh, look at those grumpy faces. Before we get to reading, I'm going to teach you a new word. A word that we can use when we're in a bad mood. The word is brooding. What's the word?
Brooding.
Yeah. And brooding means when you have unhappy thoughts. Okay, so the word is brooding. And I'm going to put it up here.
It is a cloud.
It's a cloud, right. The cloud is brooding. And I'm going to actually show you that in our book. So here's Bernice. And she is brooding. She's in a bad mood. And if you look in the corner, I'm wondering if my friends in the back can see that.
The cloud.
Yeah, what's the cloud doing?
Brooding.
Yeah, the cloud
Just like
is
the picture.
brooding. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about Bernice here, and I can tell she's in a bad mood, but it looks like she's where?
At a party.
At a party, right? So I'm wondering why she is unhappy at a birthday party. I'm also thinking about what I know about books. And I can see that in the beginning of the book, Bernice is in a bad mood. She's brooding. But how do you think she's going to feel by the end of the book?
Happy. Happy. Happy.
I hear a lot of people saying happy. Can you tell me why you think? Yeah, why do you think she might be happy at the end?
Because something good happened to her.
You think that something good is going to happen?
I think that at the end, she's going to make friends at the party, and then make friends at the party.
Okay. I can see that other people have their hands up. If you agreed with something that your friend said, you can.
That's it.
I can tell that you know a lot about how books will go. We know that characters often change in a story. And today, we're going to be reading to see how and why Bernice changes. So when the characters change, they often learn something. And it helps us figure out what lesson the author is trying to teach us. All right, so as I read today, pay close attention to Bernice and how she changes in the book.
While reading, actively engage your children to help them connect to the story. Watch how this teacher uses strategies such as turn and talk and an anchor chart to help her children's comprehension and to remind them of her lesson objective.
It was a horrible, dreary day, and it suited Bernice's mood just fine. Everyone else had gotten a frosting rose on their piece of cake, but not Bernice. All she'd gotten was a plain white square from the middle. Everyone else had gotten ice-cold strawberry melon sodas, but not Bernice. All that was left for her was prune grapefruit, and it was warm. And of course, one of the big kids had gone and smashed the piñata to smithereens before Bernice had even taken a swing. Everyone else had gotten yummy candy and prizes, but not Bernice. She'd found one lousy gumdrop that someone had stepped on. Yes, Bernice was in a bad mood. All right, friends. I'm going to stop there and think for a minute. So we're talking about how characters can change. We know a little bit about how Bernice was at first, right? I can see her hands are like this. She looks angry. And you know what? The author tells us exactly what she's feeling. The author says Bernice was in a bad mood. So I'm going to add that to our anchor chart. I'm going to add bad. Bad mood. What's another word you might use to describe how Bernice is feeling? You can whisper it in your hands. Whisper it in your hand. So when she saw that they were about to hand out the balloons, she didn't take any chances. Mine, she said, and grabbed the whole bunch. I want to think about, what did Bernice do there? And what does it tell us about Bernice that we might add to our chart? I want you to think in your head, what did Bernice do? And what does that tell us about Bernice? And I'd like you to turn to your Turn and Talk partner and share what you thought.
I think she's gonna take the whole balloons and fly it up the sky. And I think she is gonna be selfish. And the last one thing, she must wanna give her some.
I think that's interesting, that word selfish that you said. Can you lock that in your brain for me? Well, I heard a lot of conversations. I heard a lot of people talking about what Bernice did and what that tells us about Bernice. Raise your hand if you have something to share that you thought or your Turn and Talk partner thought. My friend in the back?
I said she was gonna take the whole balloons and be selfish to the other one.
Take all the balloons and feel selfish. Give me show me if you agreed with our friend in the back.
What's that? We should tell her our names. I think she got the balloon because she didn't get nothing that she wanted.
She didn't get anything that she wanted, and so she was feeling like maybe she deserved these balloons. Yeah, that was okay. So let's write down some of those ideas before we find out what happens. So at first, she was in a bad mood. She didn't get what she wanted? Is that what you're saying? That she didn't get what she wanted? And she was selfish. So let's see what happens. But it was one balloon too many, and up, up, and away floated Bernice.
She wanted to do that.
She floated up past a surly gray squirrel. I like that word surly. It's another word that kind of means brooding. He's kind of mean and angry. He's surly. Do you see how surly he is?
Surly.
Alongside a very blue bluebird.
Oh my God. That's why she's going up to the cloud.
And to the bottom of a brooding black cloud where she got stuck. Bernice guessed she wasn't the only one having a bad day. Did you guys hear our word?
Yes.
Our word brooding. You can see the cloud
That's the same picture. But why he looking?
is brooding. She peered down past her paws at the big world below and noticed how little everything looked. Suddenly, her problem seemed pretty small. Bernice glanced up at her enormous bunch of balloons and felt pretty small herself. You know, I'm looking at this picture of Bernice. Can my friends see? Her ears are down and her face looks a little what? Sad, yeah. She doesn't look angry and brooding anymore, does she? She looks sad. And I'm wondering if something's going to change.
She won't turn happy.
You think she might get happy? And I'm wondering if she's feeling a little sorry that she took the balloons.
I would like a lot sorry.
Oh, you think that she might be feeling a lot sorry? So what do you think she might do?
I think she will make a sad face to show that she's sorry that then the cloud will bring her down.
You think she's going to make a sad face and the cloud might help her come down? And how do you think her friends will feel?
Happy. And then she'll share the balloons with her friends.
You think that she might come down and share the balloons with her friends?
So the cloud blew her away.
So she gave the cloud a balloon to remind him of sunnier days. He got fluffy and stopped weeping rain. She gave the bluebird a balloon to brighten her empty nest. The bird burst into beautiful song. What about the squirrel?
What if that bird saying? He hugged the balloon.
She gave the squirrel a balloon to soften him up.
Look at.
He hugged it and smiled and chattered as Bernice gracefully floated back to the ground. And one of our friends up front said that when we were on the last page said, "What about the squirrel?" And I thought, wow, you really know how books work, right? You really remembered who she had
And I
passed.
said that she was going to share the balloon with her friends.
Yeah.
She
You think she is?
Yep, I already knew she was. Balloons for everyone. And then she gonna give it to him. She gonna give it.
And then
Balloons for
everyone else began sharing too.
I knew it. The bear gave to Bernice.
Yes, it was a sparkly, sunshiny day. And it suited Bernice's mood just fine.
After completing the story, take a few minutes to let your children discuss and respond to the text. This teacher uses questions, both text-based and open-ended, to check for understanding.
Give me a thumbs up close to your heart if you enjoyed this story about Bernice and how she got carried away. Okay. So we saw that Bernice changed in the story, right? You could almost say that she learned something and grew a little bit. She grew from brooding to what? How would we describe happy?
Excited.
By the end, she was happy. So she wasn't in a bad mood anymore. She was happy.
Excited.
And instead of selfish, what did she do?
Sharefish.
Sharefish.
She shared all the
She shared, right? I like that word, sharefish. I might have to add that into my words that I use.
What's the sharefish? It's selfish.
So she was happy and she shared. All right, friends, let's think about what Bernice learned in this book. I want you to think in your head, how did Bernice grow and change, and what did she learn?
She learned friendship.
I'd like you to turn and talk to your turn and talk partners about something that Bernice learned, how she changed. Can you tell me about how Bernice changed?
I know she said give everybody a balloon on this page picture, and she felt happy to get back on the ground.
She was happy to get.
Everybody else said to get happy because they got a balloon.
I said she was happy at the end.
She was happy at the end.
Look, it's still raining on them.
She was happy to get on the ground. And what else might have made her happy? That she shared with everyone. She was happy that she was on the ground and happy when she shared. All right. I heard so many good discussions about how Bernice changed and why and what she learned. Can you raise your hand if you can tell me something that you were thinking or something that your turn and talk partner was thinking and share with us?
She learned about being respectful and
She's kind of like our
power of dream.
She got a little power of 3 lesson, right? She learned how to take care of others by sharing. You can, if you agree with your friends, you can show us agree. So let's write some of these ideas here on the why. So at first she was in a bad mood, she didn't get what she wanted, and she was selfish. She took all those balloons. But at the end, she was happy and she shared. And so what did she learn? She learned to share to make others happy. And that helped Bernice also, right? It made her happy too. Thank you for sharing this book with me. It was really interesting to hear all your thoughtful conversations about it. We learned that characters are always learning and changing and growing, just like we are. And when we pay close attention to the characters, in the beginning of the book, and by the end, often we learn a lesson and we get to what the big idea in the story is. So thank you so much for being such good listeners.